All right, testing. We're going to get started in 1 minute here. All right, let's get the show on the road. Is Cynthia here? All right, everyone. Before we get started, I want to just take a moment and recognize that since our last meeting, Charles Viteretti, affectionately known as Chuck, did pass away. He was a very well-respected member of the VFW and a stalwart supporter of this community. So in his honor and in honor of the VFW, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And I'd like to invite Cynthia Lamothe up to say a few words about Chuck. Cynthia?
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. So for those of you that don't know me, and I don't know you, my name's Cynthia Lamothe, and I'm the General Manager of Skyway Water and Sewer District. And there are probably a lot of you that knew Chuck much better than I did. But one of the things I can say about him is he gave it his all for his VFW, for his country, and for his community. And that's all of us here. He was tireless in the things that he did on behalf of everybody. And I know he's going to be missed horribly, and probably the best thing that we could do is to carry on the things he did in his memory. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Cynthia. As we mentioned, Chuck very much supported his community and was very much about this community. And for that reason, I'd like to call out the fact that tonight you're going to hear a lot about this community. After all, that's what we're about, is just informing, engaging, and making this community more vibrant. And so feel free to connect with any of the people you hear from tonight, including the folks giving community reports, those organizations. And if it compels you, please get involved with us. You know, our next meeting in April, we will be holding elections for our board. So if you so choose, we would love it if you could run for one of our open board positions, or even get involved with one of our committees. You know, you don't have to be a resident to be on a committee, but you do have to be a resident to be on the board. But we take any and all volunteerism in any capacity. So with that, I would like to just welcome you all to our winter quarterly meeting, our first meeting of 2020 and the new decade. Woo! So let's jump right in. I want to go ahead and open up to our community reports, and we're going to try to limit those to 3 minutes each because we have a pretty packed agenda tonight. So first off, I want to invite the King County Sheriff's Office up. Do we have anyone for King County Sheriff's? No? Oh.
Well, I can come up for a minute or two. Deputy Jen Esham is, I thought was going to be here, but evidently can't be here. She has been a real inspiration to have up here, even though it's just a short-term thing until Deputy Mitchell returns. She also has been invited recently to go to the academy and assist with training, development of training. So probably in the next month or so, she'll leave for that position. And then I think we will get somebody else to be the West Hill deputy for a couple months until Jimmy Mitchell comes back. So that's what's going on there. And you know, as far as crime, it's been a little bit quiet lately, and we've been enjoying that. And I think that's my update under 3 minutes.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Cynthia, did you want to come back up and speak on behalf of Skyway Water and Sewer?
So I'm going to keep it short, and I'll report on two projects. One is the long-awaited Skyway Park lift station consolidation project. So we're replacing some old pipe out in the Skyway Park area. We're going to demo 2 lift stations and upsize and improve an existing lift station. That project has already started, although the contractor isn't on site. He's doing all the paperwork side, submittals, request for information, request for clarification.
What's on the station?
Go ahead, pardon me?
What's on the station?
Oh, sorry, a sewage pump station,
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So in an ideal world,
Yeah, no, that's all I needed.
if water go downhill, some places we have to pump it. Sorry. But we expect to break ground in February and actually start work on the ground. The second thing, really briefly, is that we've been keeping you posted on the King County franchise ordinance that will charge a fee for having our pipes in the right-of-way. And the Washington Supreme Court overturned the lower court decision and said that the county was in a position to do that. So we're still looking to see exactly how that will impact folks, and we will keep you posted on that as well. And I'll be here after the meeting if you'd like to ask me questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next up, we have Skyway VFW. Larry.
We have props. This is just to keep me from rambling, so I'll stay on point. Okay, good evening. My name is Larry Weldon. I'm commander of VFW Post 9430. The building that you're in is our post. Thank you so much for inviting us to share this evening with you. When we were invited, we were just going to bring up some things about why or what the VFW does. We are a big part of this community, and we are proud of that. We've always been a big part of this community, and we want you to be part of us. In other words, those of you who are eligible to join, who are veterans of foreign wars, have the opportunity tonight to sign up. So if you are a veteran of a foreign war, we certainly would appreciate your membership. Now, what the VFW does, we bridge the gap between military service and civilian life. And I know for a fact that there are many members, ex-members of military service here in this area. Members of, or people from Vietnam, even World War II in Korea. Mostly Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq, and the Desert Wars for our younger generation. We are here to bridge the gap between military service and civilian life. And when I say we're a big part of the community, it's simply because of what we do in the community. We do a lot for the community's children. As our auxiliary president, Cheryl Sheeler, will explain, we do children's programs. We have something called Voice of Democracy, which is an opportunity for elementary, middle school, and high school students to enter into, it would be patriotic essay contest. And I'm proud to say right now that one of our members, our post members, she's a senior in high school. She came in first place in the post. She came in first place in our district, which is District 11. She came in first place, she came in first place at the state level, and she is now competing on the national level for an essay. And she's one of ours. And she's going to win a big fat scholarship, I guarantee it. So that's some of what we do. And before I get the gong here, I want to introduce the president of our auxiliary, Ms. Cheryl Sheila.
Hi, thank you for giving me a few moments. So the auxiliary is the relatives, the first or second degree relative of a service member who served overseas during wartime. So mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, sisters, brothers, grandchildren, grandparents. So that's what we do. We brought along, Margie printed out a list of our usual upcoming events that, of course, the public is welcome to come to. And if you're not a member, you need to sign in. And we have applications for membership. We have some information about what the VFW does. But basically, our goal is to help veterans and their families, period. And we do a lot of stuff like baskets and parties, and when you see people out there with poppies, know that when you make a donation to a poppy drive, that goes into our relief fund, and that's where we're able to buy the food to put in the food baskets. And we always have a few for the community and for our service people down at JBLM. So that's kind of quickly what we do. We're going to have this stuff set out so you can take a peek at what our post has been doing lately. So
And
thank you.
Just to add a little bit to that before I get caught here. For Thanksgiving and Christmas, we make Thanksgiving and Christmas food boxes for our 5 adopted units out at Joint Base Lewis McChord. Those are active duty military personnel who are away from home, who don't have family here, and we do these big Christmas boxes and Thanksgiving boxes for those young people. We also have gifts. We had a huge toy run here back in December where we distribute toys. We have a Santa, and we have the whole thing for this community to be involved in. So we'll be around. Any questions that you may have, we're going to leave these things up here if it's okay for you to take a look at and see what we're all about.
Okay.
Thank you.
So much.
Next up, we have Friends of Skyway Library, Kathleen Sidwell.
I bring my notes so I can be short also. Obviously, the Friends of Skyway Library is a nonprofit organization that helps support the programs at Skyway Library, and by doing this, we have ongoing book sale, which is just, as you go in the door, it's on to the left, and you can just buy the books. It's on the honor system. Make sure you put money in for the books. It's like 50 cents, 25 cents. Besides the ongoing book sale, we also have the annual book sale, and we always welcome donations. You can bring them up to the library, they will contact us, we sort. So for the ongoing, we get together, send off to Preston, and they will come back for our annual sale, which will probably be again around about October, November. We'll let you know about that. Let's see, there's some other things they wanted to let you know about the library. King County Local Services, now on Wednesdays, 3 to 6:30, you can register to vote at the library, get documents notarized, report dumping and potholes, check property assessments, sign up for emergency alerts for King County, and get information about permits, pet licenses, etc. That's kind of trying to be a little more local, so people don't have to go way up into Seattle to get to for the King County. Let's see, there's story time for kids Monday mornings, 10:30 to 11. There's the AARP tax help, which is getting busy. One of our members doesn't do much with us for a while because she's on the tax board here. That's Tuesdays, 10 to 3 p.m., starting February 4th. Blacks Making History, February 6th, 7 to 9 p.m., a special program. And then there's our Renton High School STEP performance on February 8th, 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. So that's what we have so far. So hopefully we'll see you there. And we can always just do that.
Next up, we have Eric Wilcock with Census 2020. Eric.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Eric Wilcox, and I've lived here down the way there in Lake Ridge for about 20 years now, and this is a great place, of course. And I have also worked for the Census Bureau. Over the summer, I was on foot going up the hill, the big hill, and going into places that I never even knew were there. And it's possible I might have even verified some addresses of you fine folks. And so the 2020 census is coming up. I'm involved in outreach, working with the Urban League and eventually with the Census Bureau to make sure that we get as much participation as possible. And so I am available to personally meet with any of you, should you be interested, to give you some guidance on filling things out. The idea is that it will be coming online to you. You will be getting a letter and a special way to get into the census form to fill that out. So I'm available. I have a sign-up sheet that I'm going to leave on the desk over there. If anyone is interested, to just let me get in touch with you. I'm available. Perhaps West Hill would like to have a more formal presentation at the next meeting. Is that maybe? No? Yes?
We'll have a census discussion at our community coffee hour next month.
Okay, well then that's good to know, next month that will happen. So, that is why I'm here, and I'm just glad, thank you for letting me come and say hello. Say what you will about what's going on, but I think that the census is the most honest thing going on. They just want the facts. Question?
Well, I heard you say that this is coming to us online. Are you saying that everybody's gonna get the census form they need to fill out online?
You will get a letter giving you instructions
Oh,
on
okay.
where to go online to
All right.
fill it out and so
I
forth.
don't know how they knew my email.
Yes,
Just in case, I mean, not everybody has online access. Does
This
that
is true.
letter include what to do if you don't? Do you need a paper one?
well, that's one of the things that I would be able to help you with. You will be getting a letter with options for either doing it online or doing it on paper. That's one of the options. Was there another question?
Do you know if the letter has options there for people who don't speak English?
I'm not sure, but I do believe that there are efforts being made to make sure that not only visually impaired, visually challenged people and people of different languages are served appropriately,
There's like 12 languages, is that?
if not more.
Yeah.
And, yes, ma'am.
So I'm Bridget Hempstead with Sierra Sisters, and we've been doing the census outreach since the beginning, and so far we've reached over probably 4,000 community members and getting information out. You will get a pin, so don't lose your pin if you want to do it online. There will be kiosks throughout the city where you can go to the kiosk and be in a secure area and do it online, or you can do it on paper, but you still need to have your pin to access the information.
And there's a handout on the table there with some additional information. And if anyone would like, I have a card. If you would like, you can tug me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eric. And nice segue. We have Bridget Hempstead with Sierra Sisters.
So Eric, thank you, and that's one of our colleagues that I didn't know about. Sierra Sisters is an African-American breast cancer organization. Our focus are on African American because why? We are the largest community that are underserved in the healthcare and every other healthcare issue around breast and other types of cancer, diabetes, you name it. Our community is quite underserved. This coming February 8th, we're having a free event at Langston Hughes, and it's World Cancer Day. Now, World Cancer Day is a global event that happens. I think we're the only organization that has done it in the state of Washington. We did it 2 years ago. We're doing it this year. We have world-renowned oncologists and doctors. We're featuring the film Miss Evers' Boys, a true story of decade-long Tuskegee experiment. Everybody probably have heard that name, Tuskegee, and if you want to hear more about it, we're going to be showing the film free. We're going to have a talk back panel discussion with Dr. Graylow, Dr. Kimmy Dahl, some other world-renowned incredible doctors in our community. It's a free event. You can register. You can go to the Facebook and register there. There's a link that will take you into a secured area so that you can register. If for some reason you can't figure out how to register, come and we'll register you at the door. We feed you, we give you good prizes, and you're going to walk away with a wealth of knowledge. Thank you. And there's flyers. These flyers are on the table.
All right, and next up we have Ryan Metzger with Ridwell.
I also brought some show and tell here. Get that out. So I'm Ryan Metzger, one of the people who started Ridwell, and we're new to this zip code. We've been operating in other parts of Seattle, and we just launched in 98178, and it's fantastic that you guys have an event like this to introduce yourselves and say what we do. We're all about helping people waste less by getting rid of things the right way. So we give people a bin like this, and so you'll start to see a few of these out in the community. And so what we do is we pick up categories that can't go in your trash, but you could donate them or you could recycle them and drive them all over town. We do that by picking it up from you. So all of your old clothing and shoes, we do that. There's another one for light bulbs that can all be recycled. There's another one for batteries, another small one for all your little household batteries. And then there's this one, which is our most popular. This is called plastic film. And so it's all kinds of thin plastics like this that can't go in your recycling bin, but we can recycle it because it's separated by this bag that we give you. We also have a category that rotates, and this is where we try to help community groups by giving them items that might help the people that they serve. So we'll do things like eyeglass drives, we'll do things like books, we'll do things like toys, we'll do things like leftover Halloween candy. Every 2 weeks, there's a new one of those where we take things that aren't being used in some people's homes and bring it to other areas that can use them. Some of them are also recycled categories, like we just did broken Christmas light strands. These can be recycled if you take them somewhere, and we make that easy by picking up from you. So we'd love for you guys to check us out. Ridwell.com is our website, and then also let us know if there's any community groups that you guys are affiliated with that would like donations from the community. We'd love to circulate things that way.
So what about styrofoam?
We do styrofoam also. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Regular or just every once in a while?
That's an add-on. So we're a membership. It's $10. It starts at $10 per month. Styrofoam, we give you a bag that's about 5 times the size of this, and you set it next to it, and we can come and get that on the same day. That's a little bit, a few dollars extra. Yes.
Which communities, are they in the area or are they?
So we go by zip code. So 98178, we're just launching in. You can sign up.
But I mean the ones where you might donate it?
Oh, yes. Good question. Almost all of them are local in the Seattle area.
Okay. Nothing abroad?
Once in a while there are. We did a group that wanted bra donations that they had overseas for a group that empowered women over there. So that was a rotating category we did. But many of them are here.
And what about used computers and terminals?
We do, yes, we've done that. We've done cords, chargers, portable devices, those types of things we do. That's been a rotating category.
Thank you.
All right.
Could I
Yes.
just ask a quick question? I've been saving, since I heard about you, every kind of plastic that, you know, because
Yes,
there's
yes.
ones that I could take to Fred Meyer, and then there's a lot I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it any of that kind of thin filmy
Thin,
plastic?
scrunchable plastic is sort of the key, that is clean. Clean, doesn't have food on it and stuff like
Okay.
that.
How about those Amazon bags that are bubble wrapped?
Most definitely, yeah, the white and blue ones. And
Yeah.
actually, we are now working with a company that makes that type of product to give them back. So they're using recycled content to make new ones. So it's sort of a full circle solution that we've enabled because of the scale that we're getting to. So lots of those.
So do you give a list of the rotating things that are coming up?
Yep,
so we
you,
can start?
yes, you can see about 6 to 8 weeks in advance. 6 to 8 weeks. So we come every 2 weeks, and so you can see the next 3 or 4 and set those aside. So like wine corks, I think, is coming up, and a few others that you can see. We have what's called a dashboard that has a calendar. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about the destination of the recycling?
The destination?
Yes.
Yes, they're all in the U.S. We have a different model where we're community supported and we're not relying to sell stuff to fund our operations. So sometimes even we have to pay to recycle things. That's sort of the new world that we're in with some of the changes coming from China. So some of our plastics go to places that make decking, some of them go to this company that makes the packaging. Clothing and shoes, we work with groups like Goodwill and places like that. But we spend a lot of our time finding domestic partners for things because we think that's a more sustainable way of doing things.
So the domestic partners, do they do it here or do they send it somewhere?
Here, a little bit of the clothing and shoes go abroad, but they start by doing what they can here. And then once in a while, like I said, with the bras, that is an overseas partner, but 90+% are in the U.S. and they start here.
Is your box the size of the amount of things?
I'm sorry?
Is your box the size of the amount of things that can be donated?
Yeah, that's the size. There are things like styrofoam that are bigger that you can set next to your box, but most things fit in here. And these bags that I showed, even if they're all pretty full, you can jam it pretty tight and they all fit in the box. And then what we do is we use the bags to recirculate things. And so on pickup day, we'll grab them and then we'll leave you empty bags that'll be in the bottom of your bin. Yeah. It is not. To date, we have not had major problems with people taking stuff. It's things that people are wanting to get rid of, so the quality is not necessarily the highest. They do make these with locks, though. So if we do see that's an issue, we can add that. And sometimes people put them in sort of a hidden place, like maybe around the side of their house or something like that that's not so obvious.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great, thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Yvette Dinish to talk about CARD.
And I apologize for being late. We just came from a really weak CFA meeting. I'll keep it brief. Rainy Beach residents, I'm with the Community-Owned Real Estate Development Organization, and what they're doing is going to have a community trust. And I want to probably segue nicely with our new council person because one of his campaign things was community trust, community land, community. And so we're doing that. And so if you're interested in being part of the input and the implementing of it all, just see me and I'll have you fill out a real short survey and get your address so we can contact information so we can keep you on the loop. It's the next big wave thing, and it is happening already. They were successful in the central area with the Africa Land Trust. The Liberty Bank building apartments was done through community land trust. So it can be done. So if you're interested, just come see me and we'll take it from there. Thank you for squeezing me and I appreciate it.
All right. So thank you to all of our community partners. Really appreciate your reports. And we're going to move right into our main program. So without further ado, I want to introduce our new King County Council member, Councilmember Girmay Zahilai. And just as a note, I put on the agenda how to properly pronounce his name. I want to make sure I got you, bro.
Appreciate it, Jeremy. Thank you. How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Good. Great to see everybody. Thank you so much for everybody who's here. Thank you to all the community members who have shared today. Thank you to the veterans who are in the room and not in the room for everything you've done for us to survive here and that you clearly continue to do for us. Mr. Larry, hearing from you was inspiring. Thank you for all the work that you do. My name is Gurmai Zahalai. I'm your new council member for King County District 2. I want to start by thanking Councilmember Gossett, who served this community and his district well for many decades. So I'd like to give everybody that I just mentioned a round of applause. I grew up in South Seattle and in Skyway, so this community is very near and dear to me. Before I get into policy specifics about what we aim to do, this is week 2 on the job for me, by the way. I just want to talk about an overarching vision for Skyway that many of you have already been working towards. That vision is a collaborative one, because although King County is your closest form of government, I don't think it can do everything on its own. And Skyway West Hill in particular are communities that the whole state should be paying attention to, and maybe even the whole country, because every time we talk about gentrification and displacement and people losing their homes, it's in the past tense. We wish we could have saved the Central District. We wish we could have saved South Seattle. We wish we could have saved Columbia City and the communities that were already there. Skyway presents an opportunity to get that right in advance, to think about that before it's too late. And I don't think that's a King County exclusive concern. That should be a concern for the entire state. And if we do it right, it can be a model for the entire country. So right now, we're working on writing an article in the Seattle Times to make people wake up. Our powerful opportunity in Skyway West Hill to show everybody what's possible over here. I've been meeting with state representatives and state senators to tell them about this community and what opportunity exists here. And so that's the overarching vision, a powerful opportunity here to get things right around housing, around anti-displacement, investing in small businesses. And we need to work with the state, because King County is a fundamentally broken county. And that's not criticizing our employees. That's saying that we have a revenue structure that is severely limited by the state government. We can only raise revenue through property taxes and sales taxes, and those are not taxes that we want to raise on anybody. And at that, it's capped at 1% every year. So every year the need is growing, but the ability to raise revenue to address those problems is severely constrained. And every time there's a recession, that 1% lid, you start over and you have to build back up to where you were. So it's going to take the state government giving us more flexibility in how we can raise revenue through very, very progressive income taxes and taxes on big businesses. And it seems like there is some movement there. And so once we get those things right, we'll continue working on those things. And I would love to discuss with you all of the things that we're working on around housing, youth employment, gun violence, transit. We're working on those things, and there are some people in this room that I've met with already to hear their concerns, and I would love to work with each and every one of you to make that happen. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be here for any questions. Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Did anybody have questions for Maya right now? We can wait till later. We can do the methods. Yeah.
Hi, congratulations, Chris.
Thank you.
Where our country is in? We came from similar background.
What's your name?
Gosh.
Gosh?
Gosh.
Nice to meet you. I'm probably the only one who can pronounce that right here.
I've been telling people to use the R sound as well as to the S sound. Anyway, how do you plan to coordinate with the city council, Seattle City Council?
That's
do you have you have formal relationships, or do you intend to make connections with them?
Yeah, I have relationships with most of them. City Council District 2 person, Tammy Morales, I'm working with her around gun violence right now because our districts intersect. As you know, Seattle City Council districts don't extend into Skyway. They end at the southern border of Seattle. But I don't think that should be the case anymore. Because if we're talking about displacement and we're talking about equity, then some of those Seattle resources are going to have to stretch into Skyway. So I've been trying to meet with the Office of Economic Development, for example. They have grants that are supposed to be for small businesses and for underrepresented communities, under-resourced communities, But if everybody's getting displaced out into Skyway and into Renton and all these South King County communities, we can't just have a Seattle focus anymore. So I'm proposing having a joint Office of Economic Development so that we can reach into communities like Skyway through those resources. But I will also continue to work with people like Tammy Morales around gun violence.
I like the fact that you said that you would like for this community to be inclusive. Because over the summer months, the funding that happens in King County around students getting summer jobs doesn't hit us, even though we have Seattle address and we pay Seattle taxes.
Yep.
Our students are always forgotten because there are no programs for them and they can't get summer jobs because if they go into Seattle and they see that it's this zip code, they will not be hired and they won't be accepted into those programs. So that's been one of the things for our community. We've talked about it for many, many years. All of my children are grown now, so they will never qualify for that. But hopefully, if they have children that stay in this area, we'd love for the fact that when they become teenagers, that they could access that. That would be a historical change.
Absolutely, completely agree with you. Julia.
I would like to know how the King County Department of Community and Human Services and Public Health that offer social workers and people in the community working with homeless, low-income and unemployed people, how are they working with the King County Sheriff? Because I know that I live right close to Skyway Park and there have been some questionable people who have come where I've felt no choice but to contact the King County Sheriff. And I don't trust law enforcement that much, given what they've done to my community, Latinos. And so I would feel more comfortable working with social workers or that kind of thing to help people who are not doing so well, so, and who are resorting to some criminal activity. So just wondering what you're doing or your office is doing and how those departments are maybe hopefully working together.
That's a great question. One of the things that we're advocating for is to bring LEAD to Skyway, Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. They don't have a presence in Skyway right now, to my knowledge. And that program, are people familiar with that program?
It started,
Oh,
we're one of the first pilots of Skyway.
oh, awesome. Okay, yeah. So do you know if they have a presence in Skyway
There
now?
weren't enough people that were getting funneled into it, so it died out.
Gotcha.
Where the funding just got stopped?
Yeah, from the, yeah. So that's one of the things that we want to, LEAD stands for Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. So the idea is that if somebody is committing a crime like you're talking about, especially if it's a crime related to poverty or substance abuse, arresting them, taking them through the court process and the jail process is costly and it's ineffective in terms of actually solving the problem. And so this program, what it does is they get arrested because they're committing a crime, but rather than going through that criminal legal process, they'll be matched with a case manager who connects them to the resources that they need to survive whatever they're going through at that moment.
And the key part is this law enforcement, so the police officers are referring these people that they see all the time.
Yep.
And they try to arrest them because it's pretty low level-ish, and so they lead the way on that.
Exactly.
Which I think is very remarkable.
That's right.
Remarkable, yeah.
That's right.
So is there any chance that program will be refunded or reinvigorated in any way?
So that the cut just very recently happened, I think this past week. So I will be one of those people who advocates for it for sure. One more question? Yes, sir.
So you talked some about housing and avoiding the gentrification problem, but with how do you envision doing that here? Well, there's such needs for housing, but also making sure that the community stays with, maintains its culture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that any process of upzoning, is everybody familiar with the term upzoning, by the way? I don't want to use jargon. So when you change the something, an area can be zoned for a specific type of house, not multifamily but single family, so only you know, a regular house that's for one family, or it can be zoned for apartment units for multiple families, or it can be zoned for commercial and business activities. So if you upzone, meaning you change an area from only having single-family housing units to apartment complexes, which can house more people, you don't want to do that and just create more displacement, right? You upzone, you build apartment complexes. Yes, you can house more people, but property values go up, and gentrification and displacement can happen after that. So I think every time you upzone and you build up, you have to match that with some anti-displacement measures, whether that's saying that anybody who is pushed out in the process of building gets the right to first return and occupy the units that you build out, whether that's saying any complexes that we build have to have some percentage of the units be affordable housing, whether that's saying that we're going to invest in local small businesses before these developments happen so that they can stay rooted. There are all kinds of schemes that you can do to make sure that the communities that are there stay there. The opportunity that I was talking about earlier in Skyway is creating that model of saying we're going to create a national model for investing without displacing. And I don't think that's been done properly anywhere else in the state, but this can be the first time that we do it. Yes?
Who makes darn sure that happens?
We do. We do. That's right. So, and I expect nothing less than everybody in this room to hold us accountable to that. And we will be here, we will show up, we will get this right.
You know, one of the problems, of course, is our entire system is based on wealth maximization. That's how you value your home or your land or whatever it is. And so how you can make sure that people can still get a huge price for their property when it's time for them to sell, but at the same time, not making it so expensive. I got 5 children that can't live in this area because of that. But then, you know, if we sell our house, we like some retirement money too. There's such a problem with balancing those two things.
Absolutely, that's right. And one of the things that we can think through is what Miss Yvette was talking about earlier, which is community land trusts and making sure that we give the people who live here an equity stake in the land here. King County owns surplus land that it's not using all over the county, especially along light rail. And I want to make sure that that land that the government owns goes to public use. So we can use that land for things like community land trusts, like Ms. Yvette was talking about earlier, so that we promote home ownership and land ownership within this community, so that as property values rise and everything around you gets more expensive, your assets rise with it. Yes, sir.
Are you talking to any of the creative housing development, community development corporations in the region that are doing interesting things in Seattle to try to interest them in doing something creative down here, like HomeSite?
Yes, yes. I was just with the executive director of HomeSite earlier today, and every meeting I go to, I promise you, I am keeping Skyway's name in my mouth, like everywhere I go, because they just need to hear the opportunity that exists here. And yes, that's right. I heard.
So we talked about, you know, the high rises, well, I call them high rises, but they're not really high rises, but they might be in this particular area. What about the homeowners that are in their home? And in Seattle, those homeowners were taxed out of their home, have been their homes were paid off, but the taxes got so high because of the
Yes.
development around there that they were forced to leave and go into nursing homes, which is a shame. You know, you've got a family that's been in their home for over 50 years.
Absolutely.
Living in the Seward Park area, bought their house at a very affordable price, but they got taxed out because of the taxes. How can we be protected here in Skyway? Because they're looking at it. I mean, you know, we already seen the bike lanes come in. You know, everything starts changing. We got speed bumps now where there wasn't. Lights are going up. Sidewalks are coming in, and the taxing of those homeowners that have been in their home for so long. How can you deal with that?
For sure.
What are you gonna do as a safety measure?
Absolutely. So 2 quick things. Number 1, Did you all see that the county assessor's office is expanding the exemption for seniors around property taxes from one level of income to another? Everybody's aware of that, right? Okay. Okay, so let's connect after this. Anybody who is not aware of that, let's talk right after this, okay? Number two, your question gets at the exact heart of what I was saying earlier about this being a broken government. It's very broken because we need all kinds of services, and yet we continue to increase property taxes and hurt the people that we're trying to help in the first place. That's very backwards. We have a very regressive and backwards tax structure here. And so we have to always keep our eyes on the prize, which is that the state constitutionally restricts King County from raising progressive taxation, progressive revenues through progressive taxation. And so that's what I'm continuing to meet with the state level people about, and I think we're starting to get traction on that. So I will keep you updated on that one. But if we're able to change the way we tax, I would never advocate for progressive income tax and progressive business tax without coupling that with offsetting your property taxes, right? The whole reason why we're trying to get progressive revenue taxes is so that your property taxes don't push you out of your home, especially for our seniors who have fixed incomes. So that gets to the heart of what I was mentioning earlier. Thank you for that question.
Thank you, everybody. In the name of time, we're going to say, please talk with Gurmai afterwards, and yeah, make yourself available.
I'll be here.
All right. Thank you, council member. And first up on our list of guest speakers, we have King County Parks to talk about Skyway Park acquisitions.
Can I fire
Oh,
up?
yeah. There, that one.
I can just.
Yep. Yeah, just
Here we go. Okay. Good evening. My name's Dave Kimmett. I work for King County Parks. I was here last April. Does anybody remember that? Yes? Okay. I was here to talk about our new acquisition program. It's part of the Land Conservation Initiative. King County, through a variety of programs over the last 30-plus years, has been buying sort of open space lands throughout rural King County. And a couple of years ago, Executive Constantine initiated the Land Conservation Initiative, which targeted 6 major areas. 5 of those we've been doing for many years. But this initiative added one more very important component that affects communities like yourself, and that's an urban component. And I was here last April to introduce that and to present some ideas, some initial ideas on where we wanted to start working in this community. And I'm back here to report on where we've been and where we'd like to go, okay? I don't know if you can all see that. I should have made the, you probably recognize the lake and I-5, but highlighted in pink are the two, really the only 2 park areas that we own. The one on the left is Skyway Park. The one on the right is some sort of steep forested green space called Bryn Mawr. But really, Skyway Park is your sort of central park, your community park. Before I go to the next slide, I'm going to play a little game. I want to know who can recognize what's different about the park. Anybody? And nobody, if you know, some of you know the secret. Anybody kind of tell me what's different?
It's the connection for the pipe thing, for the pipe piece.
No. It's not green.
Is that not green? Is it larger on the northwest corner?
It's got a beak. We added a beak, yes. So we bought this triangle parcel this summer. It was for sale. There were 2 adjoining parcels, 1 owner, and we bought it. So this is one of the first things we did was, because of the opportunity was there, we've added to the park. So that's what it looks like. It's right behind the casino, okay, under the power lines. It was sort of, you're all familiar with the term low-hanging fruit. It was for sale. It was a pretty easy deal. There was somebody that beat us to the punch, but they withdrew their offer because they soon found out they would not be able to develop under the power line. So they withdrew their offer, and we stepped in and bought it. I hope you can see that. It's a long ways away, but if you can see the red outlines, I talked about these parcels last year. I've been working with the owner ever since. The owner is very willing to sell to us. What we've discovered during the process over all summer and into the fall is that we have a number of encroachments. The owner did not really know exactly where his boundaries were. We've had parking lots built across the property. We have a driveway that serves 9 houses that built across the property. We've got people built fences out onto the property. So we did a survey. We've handed that legal survey to the current owner. He's now working with all the individual owners to set up easements so that when we finally buy it, it comes with all of these easements. We're not asking people to change anything. We just want it legally recorded that this new use is allowed via a legal easement document. So it's been taking time, but the owner is still willing. One thing that's really new, is there a pointer up here? No, okay. Is,
Use your straw.
what's that?
Use your straw.
My straw. So right here, this I found, the owner, one day I was meeting with him this summer, and he said, would you be interested in this parcel? I said, yes, I didn't know you owned this. You can see here's the library. He happens to own this building, and he owns 2 parcels right behind it. One is all paved. This one, about half of it is grass, and the other half is this little parking area. So I said, yes, we'd be very interested. So in essence, once we acquire these, we actually can start sort of an entry point into the park right up here, sort of just a few feet away from the library, and close to this side of the Skyway community and where the schools are. So that's what I'm working on right now. So that's what that parcel looks like way up towards the library, further up. And we're looking kind of right down the power line towards Seattle, right? Then you get down to Renton Avenue. There's the parcel that we want to buy. A little closer. Now there's the sort of the boundary into the park. Now we're looking right down into the park and where the baseball fields are. And now we're looking down the slope. Now how many people walk down this slope? And how many people wish? I'm impressed, John. Yeah, you get around. Yeah. How many people wish it was a nicer path? Wish it wasn't steep and muddy in the winter? Well, I've got a solution for you. King County, we're very fortunate to partner with the Washington Trails Association. How many people know who or what WTA is? A few of you. Okay, so we've had a long-standing partnership with this group, this nonprofit, going back many, many years. It all started working in alpine backcountry trails. Well, I've got a friend here tonight from WTA, Krista, and she's going to tell us about an exciting new program that they're starting, and we hope we can initiate that or take advantage of that program right here at this park. So, ladies, Krista Dooley with WTA.
Thank you for letting me talk a little bit about Washington Trails Association. Like Dave mentioned, we've been partnering with King County Parks for decades at this point, and we really are interested in expanding that work to the urban settings, and we're exploring some new urban parks. WTA is mostly known for some of our backcountry work and our front country work, and now we're really looking at the importance of equity, making sure there's trails local to where people are, and making sure that there's those green spaces close by and making sure they're accessible. So we've been working with King County and really thinking about what are some opportunities for us to partner and collaborate. And so last fall we did a field tour with Dave, and he came and showed us this spot, and we just thought this was ripe for access for us to help get involved with the local community, and then also work with all of you to figure out how we could help enhance the experience to the park. And so hopefully as things develop, as the purchases get acquired or the land goes forward, we can start thinking about a plan. And then one of the things that we also do is have volunteers. We help work with volunteers in the community to help do the work, so they're really invested in the area. But also we work with young people, so we have high school students that come and work with us, and we have a whole host of different opportunities for people to get engaged with the work and actually help build the trails out that would be directly in your backyard, essentially. Another program I want to quickly share about is our outdoor leadership training program. So if any of you work with youth or have connections with young people, we have a gear lending library, and we do workshops for hiking, backpacking, camping, and snowshoeing to help train people that are interested in the outdoors. And then we have a free gear lending library so they can access that gear for free and support the groups that you all, or those folks are taking outdoors. So the Urban Hikes is a great opportunity to do an intro to the outdoors, to connect with local parks, and so we're excited to work with King County and to expand this opportunity. I also put over on that table some resources about our programs, and we also have produced a great magazine as well they're interested in, and I'll be around throughout the evening to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Krista. So now we're down in the park in the ball fields looking up, and coming down that slope is going to be this, and that's a very conceptual, we really, yeah, that looks like a nice ski run or something, but no, we would literally take that slope out, and it would, you could easily walk a baby stroller down this. This would be almost to ADA, or if not ADA standard. So we would put in this really nice, sort of with switchbacks trail. And I just think it's long overdue. That part that's highlighted is in the park, so there's no reason why we can't start on that, and we'll start talking about a design and permitting and getting that going. So, and then up on top, when we buy that, then it'll take us out to Renton Avenue. So that's our plan, and that's kind of what it can look like, kind of. You know, starting way down, if we get that easternmost or southeasternmost parcel just down the street from the library, there's great opportunity to create a whole new access into the park. That's green space. So the other thing I know Devin and I traded a couple of emails. We're still very much interested in trying to secure, that's a King County right-of-way that's highlighted in yellow. We'd love to be able to convert that into actually part of the park. And so this is something we're definitely still interested in. And it sounds like I've been told, we have some new owners there in the casino, so maybe we can work out that right-of-way becoming part of the park. So we're still very much want to do that. I also want to highlight another acquisition that will be maybe coming back to you in April or some future meeting to talk about the Brooks Village site. How many people are familiar with the Brooks Village site? Some of you. It's a site that's owned by the DCHS. It was originally bought for affordable housing. It's actually got a lot of wetlands. We've completed an appraisal on it. I think DCHS will be coming back together to talk about how maybe we can buy this from them and they can reinvest those funds into a better housing opportunity here in Skyway West Hill. but this is something that we'll be talking more in greater detail about. That's kind of what it looks like. It's right at the bottom of the hill. There's a whole series of wetlands there. And it's, I think it was, I don't know how many units it was originally platted for, but it's very limited by the wetlands and the headwaters of help me out, what's
Dead Horse Canyon.
Dead Horse Canyon, but what's the creek? Yeah, that's right. So we'll be coming back and talking more about that, but that's something that's also on our horizon. So just in short, we need to resolve the encroachment issues on those parcels at Skyway. Then we have a very willing seller. We will move forward to acquire those. And then we're going to start working on a new trail design so that as soon as we buy those, then we can start working on a really nice access, which will complement the improvements to the park, which will be starting this summer, that some of you, I'm sure, are familiar with. We'll continue to work on that right of way and then come back and talk more about the Brooks Village site. Any questions?
These are great immediate developments. I know in the past there has been some strategic discussion about linking up with the Chief South Trail, because the power line runs right up by Kubota and then connects in Seattle to the Chief South Trail. And that connection would be a wonderful long-term development. Is anything happening in that regard?
We talk about it a lot. And I think I'd love to, maybe, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're dealing with a utility. It's not necessarily, it is the city of Sally, but it is the utility. I think it requires sort of a special investigation. It's sort of challenging to formalize something up that power line, and I think as we work on the improvements to Skyway, because what we've learned through the park project is there are easements, there are development easements around all of those towers. So it's like you can't build anything near these towers. So it is something that I think is on our radar, but it hasn't. I think hearing more about it, maybe from the community, maybe it can elevate that in our sort of long-term planning. I mean, it's a great idea. There's as many of you know, there are social trails out there. There are people who have cut a path through there. I think what you're asking is, can we get more of a paved trail that you see like up in Seattle?
Well,
and that's a totally legitimate request. It just hasn't been on our King County sort of parks radar when it comes to those kind of paved trails.
But as you point out, it has been done in Seattle.
Yes, I agree.
So there's a way to do it, and it would connect Skyway Park with Kubota Gardens.
Right.
And then further on north.
So does this association ever write letters?
We do.
Okay. There's your council person right here. Make sure you get his address before you leave, okay? Any other questions?
Yes, in regards to the easement issues that you were talking about, that northwest corner lot, my house is right at the end of that. Yes, no. Yeah.
Sorry, which one?
No, where you had multiple, right, the top, that triangle in there.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you plan to do with that?
Nothing per se, not right now. I mean, we prevented somebody else from buying it and turning it into something. They would be very limited, so it's now part of the park. It's green space.
Because I know there's a lot of bushes and everything, there's still a fence there, so.
Fence will be coming out this summer with as you all know, this park is going to go through a major transformation this summer and start, and that fence will be removed. So it'll become part of the green footprint of the park. Yeah.
Well, the slide is up. that little pizza slice, what's the development updates on that? When can we, who's leading the project? And when
Yeah,
can we
that's a
start
good
seeing-
question. Somebody was asking me about that today. I don't know. Does anybody know? Anybody connection with the community garden that's planned for the pizza slice? Everybody know where this is the pizza slice right here? I don't know, but we'll come back to the next meeting with an update, because it's been in the works for a long time. There's a plan, there's a wonderful plan for it, but I do not know why we're not seeing any activity out
Once
there.
those parcels are purchased, will parks actually be coming out and maintaining those parcels?
Yes.
Regularly?
Well, yes, they'll need sort of a development plan, a conceptual plan on what we can do with them. But yes, we would start mowing that grass. Yeah.
And hauling trash?
Yes, yes. Maybe with a little help from the community to do some initial sort of cleanup or something on Earth Day or something, yeah.
Last question.
Any plans for any lighting on the trail?
We could certainly, yes. I can't say we don't have any, the plans are sort of very much, we're just starting to conceptually think about all of this, but if that is that's a great suggestion, absolutely, yep.
Just one more question.
Yep.
Will we get to play a part in helping design the new elements and sway them, or?
Absolutely, yep. I believe that there was quite a bit of outreach with the community in developing the park improvements that you're going to see. And I think we would definitely do the same here. We would have a whole nother charrette to say, okay, yes, these are small, but these are really important strategically located parcels, particularly these upper ones, and how they connect to this whole other side of Renton Avenue. And they're small, but we can do some very interesting things with those.
Is there an updated timeline on the park improvements when that's gonna be done, especially now the sewer project happening?
Yeah, so I talked to the project manager this afternoon. We have, the park improvements are in phases. Phase 1 is in almost 90% design completion. She hopes to have permits this spring and hire a contractor with construction to start this summer. And she would very much like to come here to your April meeting and give you an update. So can I extend that invitation to her and connect you with her? Okay, excellent. All right, thank you very much.
Who is the project manager?
Mary Lear.
Mary Lear.
Mary Lear, yep.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Lizzie Stone and Sarah Brock with King County DNRP Forestry.
And I might need help finding my. Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, teammate of Dave's. He's a tough act to follow at King County Parks, and this is Lizzie. And so we wanted to talk to you a little bit about one of the elements of your vibrant, healthy Skyway community, and that is trees and forests. And so what we are doing at King County is developing what we're calling a 30-year forest plan, or maybe calling it a forest vision is a more appropriate name for it, where, and today we're going to tell you a little bit of background about it. Lizzie's going to warm you up a little bit about reminding ourselves why trees are so important in a variety of ways. And then we have an online survey that's very easy to take. We love trees, so we only made a few paper copies that are back here as well, and we have some iPads back there that you could also take a survey. But we're hoping to gather your feedback here today about why trees matter, if they in fact do. We don't want to presume that they do. So,
Presume that they do.
okay, we'll presume that they do. That makes me feel good. So, as quick background, we've developed a strategic climate action plan at King County in 2015. We're going through the process of updating it, and we're going to reissue a new version in 2020. But one of our commitments to this most recent climate action plan was a 30-year plan, but we didn't want to wait around for that plan to be ready to go. We wanted to hit the ground running and start doing things quickly. And so that's where our 1 Million Tree Initiative came from. Perhaps you've heard of it, but we are doing great. We're actually higher than that number right now, where we're going to reach 1 million trees planted, both by our King County staff and also by a lot of our community partners. So if you've helped us plant trees, thank you. We're going to do it, and that's awesome. But now we want to harness that momentum and take that with us to figure out what we want to do moving forward for the next 30 years for sustainability, for climate change, but also for the multitude of other reasons that we care about forests and trees. So, Liz is going to
Yeah, talking quickly, just as, in case you guys weren't aware of the many benefits that trees and forests do provide in King County and throughout our region. In addition to pulling carbon from the air and storing them in their trunks and leaves, which is directly solving the causes of climate change, they contribute to the timber industry, which is a really important part of our economy here in King County and creates green jobs and a sustainable renewable resource. They also improve our air quality and reduce stormwater runoff. They're culturally significant to First Nations people in this area. They enhance salmon habitat and wildlife habitat. I'm going to talk a little bit more about a couple of those. One that feels really important when we're talking about urban trees specifically is the human health benefits of having trees in our communities, in our urban areas. So trees pull pollutants from the air and make our air healthier for us to breathe. They help absorb and filter rainwater, stormwater that is then cycled back into our waterways, goes out into our streams and rivers and into the Puget Sound, and then also gets recycled back into our aquifers and we drink it. So trees are helping us in a lot of those ways. Also, they have mental health benefits. There's been a lot of studies that show that people who grow up around trees are less likely to have attention deficit issues. It helps keep anxiety rates lower, lowers people's heart rates, and leads to healthier and happier communities. I mentioned briefly that they have a lot of economic benefits that here in urban areas we don't really think about that maybe very much, but they do contribute a lot to our economy. There are jobs created throughout the entire timber production process, from managing forests to harvesting timber to transporting it to distributing it out and processing it. And this is a renewable resource that we grow trees really well in this climate, and so we want to be able to make sure that we have a sustainable system for that part of our economy to work. And then finally, also something that is becoming more of an issue in our urban areas is that with temperatures rising, we have urban heat islands that form where it's hotter in our cities, and people who live in urban areas are dealing with that problem more than other folks. So having trees next to our sidewalks makes them safer to walk on, and having trees next to our streams is cooling the water and making for habitat that salmon and other wildlife can actually live in. So all of these are different reasons that we're prioritizing thinking about trees in the Strategic Climate Action Plan. And we want to hear from different communities like you guys why trees are important to you. We can't necessarily do everything perfectly to address all of these different benefits at the same time. So we want to know what are the things that matter the most to the communities that are affected by trees in King County. And that's y'all.
Yeah, so just to wrap up, this plan should do two things. It's going to tell us, King County, that owns forested lands, upwards of 30,000 acres, how we want to strategize and work to make our own lands do the most for the community. But we also want to help raise all boats, or help others across King County, cities, private landowners, others, benefit from what this plan has to say. So if this plan can help in some ways in terms of highlighting key priorities that you have in Skyway, or maybe you own a small forested parcel in rural King County, whatever that looks like, tell us what would be most important to you so that we can help not only think about our own lands, but how can we help across King County. We're not going to be directing anyone. This isn't a plan that's going to be obligatory, but rather trying to remove barriers and bring the power that King County might have to help folks do more with the forested lands that they have. And so with that, we have, like I said, at the bottom here, a link where you can grab that on your phone right now. We're not going to take too much time because I know that you've got a packed agenda and we've been, we're reaching the end of our time. We've also shared this link with Jeremy, so if there's a way to share this electronically with others, you can do that. We also have a few paper copies back there and some iPads if that is the way that you would like to take the survey. So we hope to be gathering feedback through the end of February-ish, and then in March come back out to the community with the themes that are rising to the top. What are we hearing from folks? And how that might then translate as we go into developing the highest priority and strategies in the plan that we'll have prepared by the end of the year.
Is there time for one question, Jeremy?
Sure.
Yes? I'm just wondering, time is of the essence when we
Yes.
are trying to rescue trees rather than planting new ones.
Yeah.
In this neighborhood, we have gorgeous trees and a nice variety. We have bird migrations, and it's just a lovely area.
Sure.
I'm very concerned about neighbors, and, you know, I live here for only 16 or 17 years, but I've seen people come and go. They just chop down trees and they build something else or not. They
Sure.
don't do anything. And the tree trunks are laying for free for somebody's firewood. It's not a forestry issue.
Sure.
It is somebody who wants a tree out of the way.
Sure.
Is there anything we can then talk to the neighbors about and say you might need a permit, or there's something you need to do before you chop the tree down? Because I'm worried about people just taking them down without talking to you first.
Sure. I wonder if, looking over here, John, do you have anything to say about that as
And
our,
I mean, there's trees being
terms of
gone in
permitting?
my neighborhood, and a big house came instead, and.
Generally, people can do what they want to on their property. In some cases, and I have to be honest, I don't know if we have a significant tree portion of our code. So Seattle, for example, does. Seattle has a significant tree portion of their code, and you can still cut down trees, but it makes it a lot harder if it's a really big, old, beautiful, significant tree.
Yeah, but what if the new owner doesn't see the beauty of it and they just start on it? Is the neighbor, can we say anything about it?
You can always try calling us, and we can see if it would rise to the level of a code enforcement issue.
And who do we call?
Just go to Ask Local Services
Okay,
at King County,
okay.
and we will get you an answer whether it's a violation of code or not.
Okay.
Generally speaking, it probably is not, but in some rare instances it might be, where they're not allowed to cut down that tree.
Okay, thank you.
yes.
How do you guys plan if there is any to get indigenous people involved in this circuit for plan, because they've been here for so many years, they know their habitat, and they've been living with this inherently for so many years. How do you plan to get them involved? I wouldn't know how to, because I come from a different habitat. I don't know what I can contribute to this, but I would be interested if you have any plan to involve indigenous people in Fish and Outlet.
We do, at the Department of Natural Resources and Parks where we sit, we have a tribal liaison who works with tribes in a government capacity to make sure that we are engaging First Nations in these conversations. And so this has been on the agendas of those meetings this last quarter. We also presented to the Rural Forest Commission that has a representative from the Snoqualmie tribe, and we're able to share this and get feedback from the Snoqualmie tribe's representative there. So we are reaching out and doing our best to engage.
But I don't think that would be enough, because representatives may not necessarily know what the community
Sure.
wants. So
Right.
do you have any plan to involve directly with the indigenous people? Is there a way to get to it?
Well, I think we would look to our liaison to help share these links. We've shared this information with them, and I think look then to the representatives of those tribes to share that information with their membership. But your point is well taken, and that emphasis maybe we can redouble with those representatives. Yes.
Since you brought up the tribal liaison that works for DNRP, I have friends who work for DNRP who told me that the tribal liaison is actually a Caucasian person, and it's really hard for that Caucasian person to build trust within tribal communities. So I'm just wondering how your department keeps in line with the equity and social justice strategic plan that the county has in their hiring process, for example, that tribal liaison.
Sure. We're talking about things a little bit beyond my scope in terms of hiring practices. I can speak a little bit to the equity and social justice relative to this plan itself, if that's helpful. I think with Million Trees, one of the biases that we saw in terms of trying to get a lot of trees in the ground was that often pushed us towards cheaper trees to be planted in rural areas and not some of the urban areas that needed it most, because sometimes it's more expensive to plant trees in more developed areas. So I think part of this 30-year plan is an effort to correct that kind of equity bias in this case. Your point about hiring practices and our liaison, I can take back to the county, I think we have some representatives here that are hearing you say that. I can't speak too much more to that topic though. But thank you for raising it.
So I know in other areas, there are laws that define what is a heritage tree by the diameter or if they're a grove. And if you want to remove a heritage tree, you have to get a permit, number one. And number two, you have to do mitigation. So for instance, maybe you have to plant 10 trees for the tree that you're taking down someplace. You know, if it can't fit on your property, then you need to make sure it gets done somewhere else. So maybe that would be something to consider for the issues of people just chopping down trees to build a garage or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, that's what I said, tree of significance, same basic concept. It's a tree that's, by virtue of its size and age, it's so significant that you would protect it. And there are jurisdictions that do that.
Yeah, policy and regulatory solutions are certainly incentives or otherwise are certainly fair game for this. It looks like we might be getting the hook. Oh,
Yeah.
no?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You can finish answering.
No, I'm done.
Okay, cool.
Just before I take
Please, we'll hold any further questions till after the meeting. We're almost done. Thank you, Sarah and Lizzie. And John, you're already talking, so go ahead and get up here.
I'm gonna be really fast because it is almost, God.
Oh, my bad.
No, I got it. I just can't see anything anymore. It's just a sad state of affairs.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm gonna go really fast. I'm gonna cover a couple of things. So I'm John Taylor, I'm the Director of Local Services for King County. For people who don't know what that means, that is a department that was created in January 1st of last year to do a better job of delivering municipal services to unincorporated King County, both rural unincorporated King County and urban unincorporated King County. I actually was just in the Fall City Library for 3 hours, just doing office hours there before I came here. So we're trying to just generally be out in the community more. I'm going to go over very quickly kind of highlights from 2019, first year of a new department, what we got accomplished. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the sub-area planning effort that we've been here talking about before and that's ongoing and that is now at the council. And then I'll take questions, but we literally have 2 minutes. So it's going to be a speed presentation. So kind of highlights, biggest things for this community is we've changed how we're doing outreach. How many people here know Bong Santo Domingo, your community service area liaison? Many of you. Bong was unique in that he held office hours in the community for years and years. We're now doing that everywhere in King County. So we sort of took a page out of Bong's book and we're holding office hours in libraries across King County 1 day a week in each community service area. My community service area is the Snoqualmie Valley, so I go to the Fall City Library every week and I'm there for 3 hours. Bong is in the the Skyway Library, what day?
Wednesdays from 3 to 6:30. Tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Oh, yes. And we used to do that in the sheriff's storefront, and it occurred to us as we were kind of gearing up that the sheriff's storefront might not be a welcoming place for some people in the community for a variety of reasons. So we decided to move it to the library where everyone, who doesn't love the library? The other major investment you're going to see as a consequence of the work we've been doing this year is we have started a pilot program using the Millionaires Club where we have folks who can go out and do litter control and graffiti removal in the urban areas of King County, so primarily in Skyway and White Center. We haven't seen a lot of demand in Fairwood and East Federal Way, a little bit. They're also helping us deal with illegal dumping. So again, if you see graffiti, street litter, illegal dumping, you can do one of two things. Well, the easiest thing to do is just contact Ask Local Services, or if you have Bong's number, call Bong. We'll get a crew out and we'll get it cleaned up. So that's something we're piloting. Our goal is to keep that going into the next year. And then we've That handsome devil who's in every photo in the bottom is our economic development manager for King County. So King County hasn't had an economic development manager in many, many years. And that's Hugo Garcia. Has roots in White Center, but also in Skyway, and has been doing a lot of work in the community since he got on board, trying to help small businesses and also think about what we can do to leverage more economic investment into both White Center and Skyway in a way that's thoughtful and is going to grow those communities in a way that's protective of the folks that are actually living in the communities. We don't want to, and I'll talk more about this in a second, but Councilmember Zahala's point about displacement is something that we're really being mindful of as we do sub-area planning both in Skyway and in White Center. And how do we foster economic development in communities without displacing the people who live in the communities? Which is a challenge, but a good challenge to have. That is a good problem to have. There's a lot of other stuff up here. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing is we've really been trying to improve how we do community engagement. And how we reach different communities. And I think for those of you who are involved in the sub-area planning process here, you saw us trying things like doing things on different times of day, different days, because a lot of people who we don't reach have irregular work schedules. They work nights. So having meetings at 7 o'clock at night may not be the best way to reach people. We did one whole series of sub-area meetings on a Saturday, and we did 2 sessions, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. We provided food. We did not do it in the Skyway sub-area planning meetings, but we're now providing childcare at meetings we're having during the White Center sub-area planning effort. So we're just trying to be more mindful of what are the things that are going to be barriers to people to participate in important planning exercises, and then remove those barriers so we get more people in the door and we hear more voices. And of course, we have translation of materials, and we have interpretation in different languages at the meetings. Did a lot of things on road services this year, so we're working on building bridges. We are working on building more sidewalks in communities like this and White Center and other places. And we're trying to get roads paved. We're trying to hold together a road network in this county that's 1,500 miles long, several hundred bridges, in a revenue structure that's fundamentally broken. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but not a lot, because it'll just bring you down. But I think one of the points that was made is the tax sources that we use are incredibly regressive. And not only are they regressive, but as unincorporated King County shrinks through annexations, there's fewer and fewer of you who live in unincorporated King County bearing the cost of maintaining all that infrastructure. And it makes no sense when you consider that the transportation network carries people from all across King County and all across the region. So we're just using outdated ways of raising revenue to pay for things. And it's one of the things we're going to be working on with the council moving forward, trying to find a better way to fund transportation. Because it makes zero sense for people from very wealthy communities like Seattle and Bellevue who are driving on our roads not to be bearing some share of the cost of that road network. Then in the permitting division, which is the other big division within local services, they have been doing a lot of work this year on really improving their website and making it more apprehendable to people. But probably the single biggest thing is, as of January 1st, now residential building permits are available online. So if you were going to do a renovation on your house or an addition or build a new house, you don't have to drive all the way out to Snoqualmie Ridge to get a permit now. You can go online, you can apply for it, and you can download all the forms and all the drawings remotely without actually having to go there and wait in line at a counter. So sort of the Skyway sub-area plan. How many people attended any of the meetings related to the Skyway sub-area plan? All right, a lot of you did. I think that was a lot of work over many, many months. We tried really hard to put together a plan that reflected what we heard from the community. I leave it to all of you to judge whether we did that or not. I've talked to a lot of people in this room. Skyway Solutions, Weston Community Association, other folks in the community. That plan has now been delivered to the council. We're having conversations with the council about what that's going to look like. The timeline that it is on right now is that the council will finalize it by June of 2020, so 6 months from now, and the accompanying ordinances that create the new zoning overlay will go into effect. And right now, as a consequence of some of the action items that were in there that relate to anti-displacement, we're already trying to work on those. But one of the problems, and this has been pointed out by not only Councilmember Zahalai, but other council members, there's a disconnect between some of the anti-displacement measures and the up zones, so that building development will become greater and some of the anti-displacement measures won't be in place at the time that that happens. We're working on that. We're going to see what we can do to address that. But we made our deadline, we got it over there. Now it's sort of in the hands of the council to put their imprimatur on it and pass it out as law. And as that goes along, I'm sure you'll be back, I'll be back, we'll be back to talk about it with the community. And that's sort of my how'd I do? Was that like 3 minutes? Questions from anyone? Patricia?
So you already said right now, and this is something that we were talking about with council on the process. So when you said that there's a conflict between the Sudbury plan and some of the anti-displacement legislation, at the end of the day, which one oversees or supersedes the other one? Like which one? I mean, because if they're in conflict with one another, then they're both connected to the county, they're both somewhat.
They wouldn't be in conflict. The problem is if we pass the new zoning and the zoning goes up, and there is a recommendation in the plan that there be a suite of anti-displacement measures that accompany the code. So sort of if you're a big developer, and I will just use the site that has probably the biggest potential is the Mount Anderson site. So that's a potential massive development. We would want whatever developer went in there to make a lot of investments in affordable housing and other things when they develop that site. And so if we increase the zoning there to allow a much larger building and those anti-displacement measures aren't in place, there's some potential that someone could build something there that they would have to abide by affordability requirements because there's already some of that in the code. But you might not, for example, get more affordable units. The other thing that is part of the sort of the amenity package that was recommended in the plan is having them make investments in sidewalks on MLK Way. Because that's something we heard from people all over the place when we were doing outreach, that just the pedestrian environment, particularly along that stretch of road, is horrendous. And you have a lot of kids who are in Creston Point, and I've watched them leaving meetings coming home at night, seeing kids getting off the bus and trying to cross that street. It's crazy. So we should be trying to leverage everything we can out of developers. Part of the problem is building a program like that, Patricia. It's complicated. It's not like you can just go out and frame it out in a couple of weeks. It's going to require outreach. It's going to require talking to developers. It's going to require talking to the community. And when we submitted the plan, we did not want to overpromise and underdeliver. We wanted to deliver an incentive package and an anti-displacement package that would meet the needs of the community. And that's going to take time. So it's one of the things we have to work through and figure out how we do both things so that we don't end up with unintended consequences.
When you talk about consequences, is potentially, because part of the AMI and part of the percentage of units that were in the sub-area plan already could potentially displace people who are below those levels already.
Understood.
So how are you doing anti-displacement when you already know that the plan has things that can displace people?
Well, the AMI that's in the plan was intended to create a bulwark against anti-displacement.
Which is how much, what's the AMI, what is the AMI for our neighborhood right now?
Yeah, and I mean, we're hindered to some extent because we can't do specific area AMI. Yeah, that is the problem. That is the problem.
Can you tell us what's the difference between
Between the 60% AMI that was recommended in the plan?
And then what is the average median income environment?
I don't know off the top of my head. Well, I don't. I mean, sorry. I'm not going to make up an answer.
That's going along my question. We talk about affordable housing, affordable to whom? It was wages and, people who get paid more, that they're gonna be, or is that who the developers want?
Totally agree, which is why we really need to be thoughtful about how we build this.
There's a difference between the term low income and affordable housing, and I hear you only saying affordable housing, not low income.
Well, what I mean is low income.
Or you're just saying the AMI, there's certain thresholds of the AMI
Yeah,
can go below.
what we
according to
recommended
this
in the-
area. So
sorry.
how is that preventing displacement of people in this area?
What we recommended in the plan was 60% of AMI. But that's King County AMI.
Right.
And we were thinking about,
Skyway is different.
yeah,
So
agreed. Well, so this is why it's good that there's a council process, because you can work through some of these nuts and bolts. And I think we will.
One more question? By the way, the AMI in Skyway is 65,000 and King County is about
Yeah.
20% higher than that.
And there's a big difference between Skyway and Lakeridge.
Yep.
It's like a $20,000 or $30,000.
Yeah, those two census tracts are, when you look at them, they're dramatically different. One more.
Why do you do King County MI percentage instead of local, like, project?
Because I believe we're required to by code. I think I'm all for looking at a more granular view, but part of the problem is, this is one of the challenges. We're trying to build a program that's going to be a county-wide program. So it isn't just exclusive to Skyway. A lot of what we're going to be doing is going to be applicable in White Center as well, and it could also be applicable in other areas of King County like East Federal Way. So, and it's the problem of trying to build a one-size-fits-all public policy when you have very different communities within the county. And, this is not an insurmountable challenge, but it's a challenge for sure. The other thing is, we're in a weird circumstance because King County, the vast majority of King County is the rural lands outside of the urban growth boundary. There are these urban pockets that we are still the government for, and will be, I think, for the foreseeable future. And there's not that much of it, but we need to have programs that address it. And so, it's, like I said, it's a challenge. It's a good challenge. I like solving problems. We'll solve this problem. Any other questions, seriously, before I wrap up?
John, I did an informal presentation on my own here about affordable housing for senior citizens. Obviously, we're out of time, but anybody that would like to hear about the exciting new developments in that area from the King County Assessor, I'll be happy to share the info with.
It's significant.
It is.
The legislation that got passed last year significantly increases the affordability amounts for elderly folks. So people who would not have been eligible for exemptions from property taxes now are. And then just fireworks ban, probably coming in February. So stay tuned.
I've talked to Patricia about this, but the sub-area plan is going to be going through King County Council's Mobility and Environment Committee, and it would be really helpful to hear community voices on that committee about this sub-area plan. If everybody has signed in, and if I could get people's email addresses, Jeremy, after this event, we will send you a timeline of when those committee meetings are, and if you are able to come, I understand that's another part of the broken structure that this is downtown. If you are able to come, we would love to have you there to tell the rest of the council to get bought in on our vision for Skyway. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, local services. Thank you, King County Parks and the Forestry Division. Thank you, Councilmember Zahalai, for spending some time with us this evening. So just real quick, we do have our upcoming events listed down below on the agendas for you. We also have some nice, nifty little handouts. Just coming up, we have our community coffee hour next month, February 15th. Coming up this Saturday, we actually have a community circle, so that's going to be at the Skyway Library. If you are a parent or caregiver of a teen or tween, and you would like to build relationships and learn to have more meaningful conversations, that's going to be at the Skyway Library coming up this Saturday.
What time?
That is going to be 2 to 3:30 p.m. That's this Saturday, January 25th. Also, we have Board Game Social coming up in March. Many of you may remember that from last year at Bryn Mawr United Methodist on Saturday, March the 14th. And then it's a big election year, right? So we do have presidential primaries coming up in February. The ballots are going to be mailed. That'd be February the 19th. The process is going to be a little bit different this year. If you do normally vote in the Democratic caucuses, there is no longer a caucus this year. It is going to be on the ballot. And in order to vote in that Democratic primary, you will have to, I believe, declare yourself, declare your affiliation with that party. So Washington State is a non-declaration state for party affiliations. However, you will have to select that on the ballot in order to vote in that primary for those candidates.
So that'll be on the ballot itself for your position?
Correct. That information will be on the ballot, yes.
Can we depend on those primary ballots being mailed to us if we've been voting regularly?
Yes. So those ballots will be going out just as any other normal elections ballot. Any other questions on that? There will be plenty of information that we'll be sending out soon for that. So yeah, just make sure to stay engaged with us throughout this election year process. Thank you to Seattle Foundation and King County Elections for partnering with us through the Voter Education Fund grant. And with that, if you aren't already, we would love it if you could become a monthly donor. We have at mywesthill.org/donate, you can sign up to become a monthly donor. Even $5 a month would be helpful. As you can see, like everything that we do goes in, every dollar that we receive goes into this organization. We have very low administrative costs. The biggest administrative cost might be credit card fees when you put your information in. So yeah, we try to get as close to 100% utilization as possible. And also new this year, if you were previously one of our business sponsors for like outdoor cinema, for instance, we are switching over to a new annual model so that you don't have to re-up your subscription with us every event. Instead, this could be year long. And so at mywesthill.org/sponsor, all of our business sponsors can go in and sign up to be an annual sponsor. So we have all the tiers listed for you to select from there. We just need your information, and then we'll be in contact. Many of our businesses that we have had the fortune of being sponsored by, you should be seeing some outreach from our team coming up shortly. All right, any questions?
Does your association get funding from King County in any way? Since you're
Yes, we have King County CSA grants and community service areas.
Oh.
Yep, so we do. So yeah, we do get a lot of funding through grants. A lot of grant dollars coming through, including like the Voter Education Fund that I just mentioned. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening. We really hope to see you again at our next board meeting on Tuesday, April 21st, where we will be holding board elections. Be sure to go out and apply or talk to one of us if you're interested. Thank you, everyone.